Welcome back to the Truck Show Podcast. This is your host, Holman, and it's hard to believe this is our 13th episode of Season 3, Lucky 13. Hopefully this is a good episode. What have you guys been up to? I've seen some of it in the Podshed Insider group on Facebook. You guys have been on fire with a ton of great discussions. It's so great to see in there. My calendar's starting to fill up for the next couple of months with a bunch of trips, some I can't tell you about yet, but I've got some new truck reviews coming that I think you guys will really appreciate. I'm going to be heading out to the Mint 400 to cover that for our friends at BFG Tires. So if you guys are in Vegas for the Mint, let me know. Hopefully you can hook up there. And, of course, I've been solidifying my plans for Easter Jeep Safari, so I'll be there as well. Again, if you're going to be in town, let me know. Maybe we can grab a beer or something like that. I've got one trip coming up I'm super excited about. Still working on the details. Can't quite tell you about this one yet either, but let's just say I'm going to be joining forces for the good of automotive and bringing some great content to the podcast. So fingers crossed that everything works out and I can bring that content to you. And then in other news, it's been a crazy week because I got the Adventure Jeep finally fixed. So if you guys recall, I was out. I did a 400-mile trip, pre-run with a client. The last 8 miles to go, I nailed a rock, and it sucked so bad. Only about 3 miles an hour, something like that. Had my dash cam going. I think I might have posted the video. I can't remember right now, but it's probably on my page, at Adventure Jeep, at Sean P. Holman. The mic dropped off my dash because I have a magnetic mount, and the set screw backed out of the back, and basically the magnetic part of it released the mic. I went to grab it, and I got sucked into a rut, which brought me, I was in this like sandy, washy canyon, I guess. You know, it's kind of a riverbed and like a notch canyon, and it just brought me over the side where kind of the sand was bermed up a little bit. Went right through that, bam, nailed my front right tire so hard I thought airbags were going to go off, and I thought I ripped my wheel off. No joke, it was that hard. Fortunately, my wheel is not bent. My BFG KM3 took the hit, and it's fine. The axle ended up getting bent. My rock jock pieces, high steer, all one-ton stuff, none of it bent. Everything was working fine, and took the hit, and I can't even believe how lucky I was that I was able to drive off the trail. And I was at the California-Arizona border, and thankfully, my buddy Mel Wade and his daughter Harley over at Off-Road Evolution in Bullhead City were at the shop. I called them. They're about 20 minutes away. I limped it up to the shop. They got me on the lift. They did an inspection on it. They set my toe and my steering so that I could get home without the traction control lights coming on, because I had about 250 miles to drive home. They got me dialed, so I got a shout out to Off-Road Evolution. You guys rock, and I really appreciate our friendship over the years. Mike Rice, who you guys know from co-hosting, he had a customer that bought a 23 392 just like mine and immediately put 1-ton axles on it. He had a front axle that had less than 500 miles on it, and I was able to purchase it from him. So I got basically a brand new axle. The only thing was it was a 373 axle because his was a non-XR, but no big deal. We got that handled. Got to thank Mike and my buddy and neighbor Adam and his son Max to help me go pick it up. And my other friend, Chris's shop, it's Rock Tech Off-Road in La Habra. And then he let me invade the shop for a day and a half to get things done. Chris at Rock Tech is awesome. If you're in SoCal, definitely one of the best SoCal shops out there. He was meticulous, got me dialed. He even did the gear swap to put the 456s in the new housing. The new housing came with new control arms, so new fresh bushings. We used all of that. And then I've got to thank the companies that kind of helped freshen up the Jeep. AEV got me some new geometry correction brackets. Also took the time to do a diff service on the front and rear diffs, and they definitely were due for it anyway. Because I've got the 392 and I run around in two-wheel drive sometimes, I went with the Severe Gear 90W140 in the rear. And in the front, since I'm not using it all the time, it doesn't have the same load as the rear, I went with the 75W90. Severe Gear is one of the best gear lubes out there. I've been using it for, well, basically ever since it came out, all through the magazine years and everything. It's one of my favorite products that they make, so especially thanks to AMSOIL for getting that out to me. So it was awesome. We totally freshened it up. Chris got it buttoned up, got the alignment set up, and it was so good. He's like, all right, go take it on test drive. Boom, nailed it on the first try. Took it back to the shop. He's like, what needs to be adjusted? I'm like, nothing. Steering wheels, dead center, Jeep tracks down the road. It's perfect. And then I took it up for about a 250-mile trip this weekend with the family, and it was flawless. Everything's running so good. It feels tight, just like it was brand new. Chris also did a once-over on the Jeep for me, and we found some bolts that needed to be retorqued, and we found some missing hardware. So we caught some stuff in time, got that all dialed. So can't thank Chris at Rock Tech enough. If you guys are looking for a shop in SoCal, he's in La Habra. He's one of the best shops around, and he's just a great dude, and I appreciate him, I guess, hosting me in the shop so I could hang out and help get this thing done. But we knocked it out in about a day and a half, and I'm just happy to have my Jeep back. So anyway, now that the 392 is back in action, time to get prepped for my upcoming trips. And again, I'm going to be ready for Easter Jeep Safari and get back on the trail, so super excited about that. As for this episode, we're going to welcome an old friend of the show, David Page. You might remember him from the Fluid Peak Collective. He was the one responsible for a slew of Nissan project vehicle builds, and he was in the studio during the infamous Fruitcake episode. Still probably my favorite all time, maybe next to Micro now. So post-COVID, he's pivoted into an interesting new project, flexing those entrepreneurial muscles with a new business that focuses on a fresh take on a truck product a lot of you probably need or use. So the company's called Step & Guard, and they make some pretty killer protection for your truck and the trailer that it is towing. So looking forward to sharing that interview with you. But first, we need to thank the companies that make the Truck Show Podcast possible. The Truck Show Podcast is presented by Nissan, purveyor of mighty fine trucks and SUVs. Take, for example, the 25 Nissan Frontier, now sporting a freshened look, as well as an updated interior with an available 12.3-inch center screen. Still powered by the standard 3.8-liter V6 with 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque, and backed by Nissan's 9-speed automatic transmission, the Nissan Frontier S starts at just $32,050. And with a maximum tow capacity of 7,150 pounds or an off-road package, that includes Bilstein shocks, a rear locker, and full skid plates, the Frontier is a midsize truck that's meant for both work and play. Or take, for example, the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada that was designed with exceptional comfort in mind. This luxurious and capable body-on-frame SUV can go toe-to-toe with any of the competition in its class. Point your browser to nissanusa.com and find the perfect quality-built Nissan vehicle to fit your needs. Did you know AMSOIL was started by fighter pilot Al Amatuzio back in 1972 with the game-changing 10W40 synthetic motor oil? Well, this means that they are the ones that started the synthetic oil category. And even today, AMSOIL continues to innovate with a wide selection of synthetics that are formulated, blended, and packaged right here in the United States. These specialized lubricants are engineered for what you drive and how you drive. AMSOIL's catalog includes truck and passenger car oils with formulations specific to high mileage, hybrid, diesel, and you can't ignore the industry-leading Signature Series. With coverage for ATVs and UTVs along with small engines, AMSOIL has your whole fleet covered, and by using AMSOIL Shop by Vehicle tool online, selecting the right motor oil for your application is easy. AMSOIL.com offers package-size recommendations to maximize savings, including AMSOIL's Ultimate Oil Change Kits, which ensure you have everything you need for an oil change. And it all comes to your door in one box. This includes the filter, gloves, funnel, and even a reminder sticker. AMSOIL offers the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Get yours today at AMSOIL.com. We know you have a set of truck keys in your pocket. Why not add a Kershaw? Kershaw knives, that is. All Kershaw knives come with a limited lifetime warranty, and repair parts such as pocket clips, screws, and springs are available through the website. Kershaw knives also include a lifetime sharpening, and the lineup has everything from EDC knives that can be used and abused for under $50, all the way up to high-end collectibles. Thanks to our generous partnership with Kershaw Knives, Truck Show Podcast listeners can get 40% off MSRP and free shipping over $50 by using the code 25TSP40 at checkout. It can be used more than once and even includes automatics. Support the Truck Show Podcast and get yourself a Kershaw knife today at kershaw.kaiusa.com. And when it comes to amazing vehicle-based adventure content, how-tos, and great storytelling, the only brand doing it right in the print magazine space is OVR, Outdoor Vehicle Recreation. OVR is about getting out there in our vehicles to explore and discover the world around us. Get complimentary access for a year to the digital library or a discount on your print subscription today at ovrmag.com. Use the promotional code TruckShowPodcast. The Truck Show Podcast survives off your reviews and sponsorships. Please help me to keep it free by leaving reviews and comments on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and by supporting our sponsors.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh, oh.
It's the Truck Show with your host, Holman.
You know, I still love listening to that bed. I know Lightning used to give me a hard time about that, but I still think that song's cool. After, 7 years now? It's like, yeah, you know what? We did good on that song. I think you guys still love it. Anyway, let's find out more about Step and Guard and what David Page has been up to. All right, so I've got a old friend of the podcast, David Page, and you guys may remember him from building a bunch of OE vehicles in the past and been in studio before. And I ran into him recently. I hadn't seen him in a while. And he started a new venture for a new truck product. And so I thought, you know what? It'd be pretty cool to get him on the show. So hold on tight, David. I'm going to play your intro.
What does it take to be an entrepreneur? What does it take to be an entrepreneur? Quit your job and get a loan. And don't let anyone tell you you can't. Go into debt and don't look back. Don't worry, there will always be another crappy job. This is what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
So, you know, we love having entrepreneurs on the Truck Show podcast, and this is one of those products that seems kind of mundane at first, but when you see what his company is doing with them, you realize, wow, there's a lot of thought into that, and the company is Step and Guard, and I saw you over at SEMA. So how did you go from doing Fluid Peak Collective and stepping into Step and Guard? And if you want to tell the audience, what the heck are you making?
We're making a modular flap and step system that uses the existing OE receiver hitch.
So basically, if you're towing a trailer and you want to keep rocks off of it, or if you've got big tires and you're required to have mud flaps, your system bolts in or mounts, it was probably better to say, mounts into the receiver hitch, but then it overextends the side of the truck so that there's also a step on it as well.
Correct. Most people that use a mud flap probably have a little larger tire than the OE would probably provide. So sometimes the steps that are provided in the bumper or underneath the bumper are still a little too high, where our flap allows you to use that and then the step into your truck.
So the pictures on your website, you've got a lifted, really nice looking Super Duty Tremor, and then also a Super Duty Platinum dually, kind of showing how the flaps work with either the dually setup or single rear wheel. What made you get into this? What was the genesis of the company?
Well, the genesis of the company, I had a builder that myself and he created all the basically the platform to do the builds that I've done for OEs. And then between myself and him, Bart Stallworthy, we decided that we needed to do something different. Obviously, COVID changed a lot of different things.
Sure.
And he actually came up with a design using Schedule 40 square tubing, and then it slides in the existing receiver on the sides, not what you would normally think a flap would go into, but on the sides underneath the truck. And I was in Washington at Rome Products, picking up some things for a van build that I was doing, and I was on the phone and we were doing some testing with extruded aluminum, and we were talking about the Schedule 40. It's heavy. It's going to be astronomical to ship it. And I had this epiphany, like, hey, why don't we use extruded aluminum? And he was like, Bart says, I don't know if it's going to be strong enough, but it should be because it's extruded. It's got all the bends in it. And so we started working with a manufacturer of extruded aluminum. And I had experience in the past with great companies like Leitner, who uses extruded aluminum.
Yep.
And long story short, we got a piece of extruded and slid it in. It slides right in the receiver hitch. And, the rest is kind of history from there.
So when you say it slides into the receiver hitch, if you're looking at a modern square tube receiver hitch, usually the square tube, the one that goes widthwise of the vehicle, right, between the two plates that bolt to the frame, is usually square tube, and then the hitch is welded in the middle of that. So what you're saying is that your pieces slide into the ends of those because they're not capped or anything like that.
No, coming from the OE, they're not capped at all. So we slide in from there, and then we have 3 set screws that are drilled and then tapped. We wanted the product to, you're not always running a mud flap
Sure.
or eating a step. So we wanted it to be able to come off and on fairly simply, kind of seamlessly and clean looking. But our biggest thing, I mean, all trucks and all vehicles anymore have so much technology wrapped up. Sensors are always an issue
Oh
for
yeah.
existing flap companies and different things. Um, Most of those products cover up the flap or cover up the sensor, and it makes all the bells and whistles go off in your truck. So being able to slide something in underneath the bumper that still gave you the exact same coverage with the flap, as well as being able to use it as a step, was our goal, and I believe we've hit the mark. Ford obviously is our mainstay, and we've since developed a bracket for GM and Ram itself. So we've covered all the big OEs, and then from there we'll go ahead and work on down the line with different manufacturers.
So at this point, do you offer, I'm assuming, different sizes of the actual mud flap, whether you're lifted or whether you're a dually, so that people can, make it fit just right for their application?
So when you go to the website, you select your truck, obviously what year, and make and model. And then from that, we send out in the box, we send out a 30-inch flap. And then the flap is cut down to your specifications.
And then what's the flap made out of? Is that just rubber?
Yes, it is. It's a hardened rubber.
So who's the main customer for this? And, out here in California, you probably don't see it as much as you might up in Idaho or Montana or up there because of more of the gravel on the roads and stuff. Our roads are fairly clean. The only places I usually see it here is somebody might be towing a really nice travel trailer. But when I go to other parts of the country, big flaps are almost a necessity. They're everywhere.
They definitely are everywhere. The Pacific Northwest, I mean, we have mag chloride on the roads in the winter times, and there's people that recreate with snowmobile trailers or flat deck trailers where they're towing a side by side, or maybe they're towing, a $200,000 buggy on the back end. Anybody, our customer is anybody that doesn't want to flip rocks or dirt or mud, debris, whatever it may be, at what they're towing. Our slogan, so to speak, is protect your assets. So anything that's towing behind you. But however, in a lot of the Pacific Northwest, actually across the board on the upper end of the country, if your truck is lifted, you're required by law to have a mud flap. And the existing OE mud flaps aren't suffice when you lift your truck and run upwards of a 35-inch tire. And most people now, if you've lifted your truck, you're running a 37, a 38, possibly a 40. So that's where we decided that, if we come up with a flap that anybody can use, whether it's a 24-inch flap or a 30-inch flap, and they cut it to their specification, we would be nailing it on the head, so to speak.
Yeah, and also for those vehicles that don't have the full coverage, because a lot of times you'll get an offset wheel or a wider tire that sticks out past the mud flap coverage. So if somebody wanted to really get technical with you, they could. On yours, you're sticking out probably 6-7 inches on either side, not only for the wider coverage of the step or of the tire, but to create a step that you can step on top of the bracket to access the truck bed.
Well, I mean, if I was being really honest, being a couple of farm boys, Bart, he slides it in, myself included. We slide it in the receiver the first time and went, wow, that's awesome. It's going to surely protect, having an offset tire, because we both did at that time. And he looked at me and he says, you know what? Why don't we use it as a step as well? And I was like, well, it's sticking out there 6-7 inches. Why not? And we didn't know necessarily if it was going to be strong enough, and our engineering and testing, we're up to 400 pounds on the step itself without hurting the aluminum at all.
What's funny is I ran into you at SEMA, and I was cruising around, and I saw you guys had a pretty nice booth there, and I was like, man, booth at SEMA, how's business? What was the reception like? Was that your first show with this product and company?
We literally opened the curtain, so to speak, at SEMA. We've had them out in prototype testing for since COVID, since 2020.
Wow.
And as you well know, anytime being an entrepreneur, you think you've got everything's covered. Well, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to, you don't have to remind me of that.
Yeah, exactly. We thought, oh, this hardware is going to be easy to source, it's
Sure.
simple, it'll be cheap. Well, I mean, anytime you're an entrepreneur, everything costs triple what you think it's going to. So sourcing products, all the hardware, the flap itself, the extruded aluminum, is the aluminum strong enough?
It's an
You know,
incredibly simple product, yet you probably went through pains to figure out how are we fastening it. Also, how do we make sure that our hardware doesn't rust and it doesn't look good? Okay, so we have aluminum, that's good, but what's the hardware going into the aluminum? I can't even imagine how how many iterations you must have gone through. How does a simple product have a build sheet of 20 parts or something like that?
I know. Yeah, I mean, we literally, the first, like I said before, our first prototypes were Schedule 40 steel, and then stainless steel fasteners, basically drilled right through the flap to the steel itself, and it was very rudimentary, and we were like,
It
that's it,
worked, but
but it doesn't look good.
yeah,
And I don't care what product you put on a vehicle, whether it's a car or a truck anymore, it has to look good because everybody cares.
yeah.
Nobody wants to pay, upwards of $700 for anything that doesn't look good. And so that took us back to the drawing board, and through sourcing different pieces of stainless steel and then aluminum and then the flap itself. I mean, different rubbers. When you get to speed on a freeway where you're doing 80 to 85 miles an hour, do they flip up too far so that you're not protecting anything? So the testing of this entire endeavor has taken a long time, as you alluded to, and there's been many different iterations, and what we thought was going to be a simple, easy put together has taken us to basically October in SEMA. And we were going to try and launch earlier in 24, and it just didn't work out. So we decided that SEMA would be the launch. Yes, having a booth at SEMA is a pretty big launch for a company that's never done anything. We had some help, and people were good to us and gave us a pretty good spot, so to speak. And the reception we couldn't have had a better reception. Everybody that walked by went, man, that's innovative. It's new, but it's not new. It's a product we need. It's not necessarily something that you would want to, when you buy a car, that's not the first thing you want to go out and put on it.
Of course not, right? And you're making a product that doesn't necessarily make the vehicle look better, but it serves a purpose to keep what you're towing or what you're hauling looking better. So if you're running down the road with a $100,000 trailer, the last thing you want to do is be flinging rocks or chip seal gravel at it or something like that. When you look at the product, it's actually really nice. So you've got the extruded aluminum square tube, and you've got a nice branded extrusion cap on the end, so it's finished. And then you're using the T-slots on the rear-facing side of it to mount your hardware. And then you've got the rubber flap coming down from there. But then you've got like a stiffening part above that's also nicely branded that basically, to your point, allows the flap to hang down and not flip up in the wind. And you can see the engineering, like somebody went through and thought this through for such a simple product. There's a lot of innovation in this one little piece. And I was looking at it at SEMA, and I tried to catch up with you, but you left, I think you had left a day early. So I kind of looked at the product, and I was like, man, this is one of those products that you're like, oh, man, I need to get these, and everything out there's crap. And then you find you guys, you go, oh, wait, somebody makes something that's commensurate with the price of my truck, right? Like the quality. It really, really, guys, it really looks good.
I appreciate that. We had a really good attaboy come the very first day. I walked away to the booth from the booth to put a product in the new product showcase, which was really cool to get into and get some coverage and some press that way. And the gentleman, a couple of gentlemen from Ford Performance came by, and they stopped, and they were like, "You guys hit a home run."
Nice.
Bart was like, almost fangirlish, like Ford Performance is telling us we did good.
Yeah, right. It's gonna feel cool, good for two farm boys, huh?
Yeah, a couple of idiots from Idaho that think that they might know something about a vehicle, a truck. We have an ambassador. You talked about rocks flying on different things.
Yeah.
$100,000 trailer. Well, we have an ambassador out in Florida that's towing. He's called Full Pull Transport,
Okay.
and he tows boats from slip to slip all up and down the eastern seaboard.
Oh,
And
wow.
we're talking about triple axle, 40-foot trailers towing $1 million boats
Yeah.
and gel coat and things like that.
Yeah.
And
Things
he
that aren't
actually,
designed to have rocks flung at them for 1,000
yeah,
miles.
not at all, not at 80 miles an hour at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me some pictures the other day, and on the front side, which would not be the side that you see from the back, there's ribs in it, and it's catching the rocks in the ribs the way it's designed to do. And he was like, I can't thank you guys enough for what you've done, and the fact that you've actually done some engineering to not only stop the rock but catch the rock so it doesn't flip off and end up hitting somebody else.
Yeah. So
Which was
what's
pretty
next
cool.
for you guys? What's the next product or applications? Are you obviously you've got the heavy duty trucks right now and the half tons, and you got Ford, Ram, and GMs. Do you see this being a single product company, or do you guys have any plans for expansion?
Expansion for sure. I think our mainstay for this year, 2025, is expanding the our models of different trucks within the major three, and then to be honest, the very first product off the gate is for Ford Bronco.
Oh, nice.
We have a Bronco flat designed for lifted Broncos and actually wider tired Broncos. And then we would like to go to Jeep as well. Obviously, there's a lot of Gladiators out there, Demon Gladiators,
Oh, yeah.
that are lifted big. I mean, 392 Gladiators that may need it if they're in specific places. So we're doing that. But our biggest thing that we're going to launch at the Work Truck Show next month in Indianapolis is lighting.
Okay.
We in the front facing T slot right above the anti-sail plate that you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We have a 20-inch LED light that's going to slide in the T slot and then tap in. It has marker lights, tail lights, turn signals, and then it will also strobe for truck parades, different things like that, for noticeability. But then our biggest customer that we believe in the future is the work truck, and different people that are hauling, at like oil sites and construction sites
Sure.
that need the flashing light, or maybe even out at a place like what's going on right now at Hammers, where there's so much dust that you can turn a strobe on and people can see you. And then also in that, it's going to have obviously a reverse light, but it's also you can push a button and it becomes a work light. So when you go to hook your trailer up or your boat up in the middle of the night, you've got a really nice work light back there.
It's pretty awesome that you have the extrusion, because the extrusion is going to allow you to mount those types of accessories on there. And lights just make a lot of sense, because maybe you want to see forward at your tire if you have a flat, or you want to see backwards at the trailer when you're hooking it up, or to your point, you need the clearance light or the strobe. It makes a lot of sense. And when you're looking at it, you kind of start going, okay, I can see some places to build off of. It's again, the extrusion is sort of the key, right?
It is.
It's opening the door for you.
When we first played with the first pieces of extrusion, we were like, wow, that's really cool. And the anti-sail plate will go in there, and our hardware slides into T slots.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do with all these other slots or extrusions? And one thing led to another. The cap, the end cap goes in, the branded end cap. On the front of it, most diesel pickups put out a lot more exhaust heat. So to not melt the flap, which happens a lot with different manufacturers, we have a heat shield that goes on the front of it. So there's all different things that you can do with that. And we fully expect in the next year to have a full line of accessories for the flap itself. Now, past that,
Please tell me Yosemite Sam or the outline of Chrome Ladies.
I guarantee you we're going to have Yosemite Sam. Guarantee you. I would be remiss if I didn't say I was wanting that for SEMA, and we just follow through.
Because there are guys out there who just because of the humor of bringing it back to, our youth, right? Guys our age, our youth, when that was a big thing, Yosemite Sam, Keep Back, or the Chrome Ladies on the back, and they would do it just because it probably reminds them of their grandpa or something, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. It's a fun little nostalgia piece.
Yeah.
people will probably pull you over just to say, "Hey, that's awesome. I'm glad you did that."
Going back to the light side of it, the nice thing about it is with your extrusion sticking out that 7 or 8 inches past the body side, is when you are mounting something, it kind of gets away from the truck a little bit, so the light has some room to spread. Whereas, other kind of lights that are tucked under the vehicle or whatever are being blocked by the bumper, or they're too close up to something.
Exactly. The other cool thing about the extrusion, we worked with a manufacturer that we actually met at SEMA. It was always in our plan to have lights, but we used SEMA as a place to source, who we wanted to do that with. And we approached a couple of different companies, and they just didn't have the bandwidth for us. But 3 booths away, there was a light company that came to us and they approached us about doing it. They've been amazing to work with. They're out of Colorado.
Awesome.
And they've developed the whole thing so it's plug and play. So when you go to pull your thing out, you just unplug it, and your light it stays on your flap, and your flap, you have 2 separate flaps that you can stack nicely in the garage. And when you want to put it back on, you slide it back in, plug it in, and twist your set screws, and you're on the way.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm proud of you. I always love to see when my friends get into something and start having some success. I'm just curious, since SEMA, what has it been like? Are people finding you now, or is word of mouth getting out there?
Word of mouth has definitely been our best driver so far. I mean, anytime.
And this podcast, of course.
This is our biggest boost. I can't thank you enough for that, actually.
No, man, I saw it at SEMA, and I was like, no, this is, and I try and get away from, our listeners' joke about our, California pompousness. And we don't always have, the need for this type of product, but a lot of our guys are in the Midwest or up in the Northwest, are towing, or, on roads like this. I mean, man, this is a perfect product to bring to the attention of the Truck Show Podcast listeners.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And I would challenge the logic that you don't use it a whole lot in California, because California is the birthplace of the hot rod. And
we need them here. We need them here for sure. I just think people are so all about their truck being super clean. They're like, I don't want to put something on it. But the nice thing is, this is temporary. They look good. They're not an eyesore of just like some rubber hanging off the back of your truck. And it's something that, and it doesn't look like, the full width RV style, right? Where you have like a carpet hanging off the back. These don't ugly up the truck. You guys did a really nice job of taking a really simple functional product and making it, elevated to the point that you wouldn't mind having these on your truck.
Exactly. We wanted to make it so it didn't take away from your truck at all. And I believe we've gotten there. It doesn't bounce around on the back of your truck like the carpet that you were talking about.
Yeah.
It's really, it's not necessarily something that you would want to put on to show your truck, but it's not something that you're going to take off because you don't want it to ugly up your truck, just like you said.
Perfect. All right. If the website's pretty good. If you guys want to go to stepengard.com, so it's STEPNGUARD. It's lots of great photos on there. You can go into the catalog, and also I should mention, all made in the USA.
Every piece of it's made in the USA. I mean, I'd be honest, we thought about sourcing overseas, and we talked about it. And at the end of the day, we thought that the value of having it made in the USA, every piece of it, meant more to us than it did to make a little bit more money in the long run. And, obviously with the current political climate that we're in, made in the USA means something. Yeah.
Well, I think people are gravitating toward that anyway, just because they want something quality made at home. And you guys on your social, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it's basically at Stepengard, STEPNGUARD, right?
Yes, sir.
Right on, man. Well, good to hear from you. Thanks for popping on the show. And we would stay in touch. If you got more products and stuff coming out, we'd love to stay in touch with you.
I will for sure. Thank you so much, Sean.
You got it. Talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
So I just want to say thank you to David for making the time to come on the show, and we had a conversation after the podcast, and Stepengard was so excited to be a part of the podcast. They're going to offer TSP listeners a 10% discount by using the code #TruckShow for 10% off. We will have the offer up on the featured products page on the website sometime this week. But again, that's 10% off. If you've got a trailer that you're trying to protect, or your state is really strict about mud flap laws, you definitely want to give Stepengard a look.
Oh, come on and be part of show, call the 5-Star Hotline. 657-205-6105. It's the 5-Star Hotline. 5-Star Hotline.
Holman, hey, it's Rich and Hollister. I gotta say that this morning's podcast, Truck News Podcast, did you know? I forget the name of it, sorry, hopefully I'm saying it right. Was freaking killer, dude. Seriously. So much information. I freaking love it. You gotta do more of those for sure. Like the way you had that one set up, to find out that Lexus makes what'd you say, $125,000 700H, and Polaris makes $140,000 Razor. It just blows my mind. I love the idea of Ford expanding the Raptor lineup with that the T Plus. I looked it up. I was at the gym when I was listening to it, so started looking up things you were talking about, and I gotta say, man, that Raptor T Plus, T1 Plus, whatever that thing was, is insane. Keep up the good work, dude. I'm just blown away. You just keep doing it. You know, we all miss Lightning, but I'm just super proud of you, and it's awesome. You've got my support as always, 100%. So keep up the good work. Keep monitoring those parameters, as we always say, and yeah, buddy, the Emmy Hall style. Peace out.
Yeah, buddy.
Monitor key engine parameters.
Thanks, Rich. Really appreciate you checking in and all the kind words there. Yeah, I'm lucky because there's been a lot of great truck news lately. So anyway, I really appreciate it. As you guys know, this has been a learning curve for all of us, and hopefully just keep doing a good job, and you guys are enjoying the show.
Hey, this is Greg. I'm the guy who left a 4-star review a few years ago, and Lightning told me to F off on the next show. Good old days. Holman, I love the show, even without the squeaky little dude on there. Just keep up the good work. I love the show. 5 stars all the way. Finnegan, yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Did he just call Lightning a squeaky little dude? Oh, I love Lightning, but that's funny. And I promise to never tell you guys to F off.
Hey, Sean. Justin Cox from Chico. I want to call in and talk about some of your recent truck reviews. You were reviewing the new Colorado, and I've been since August. I've been driving a 2023 Chevy Colorado for work.
Oh my gosh, this sounds like it's dangerously close to a U review.
Tell us all about your truck. Ooh. Is it great or does it suck? Before I buy, I need a clue. Don't pull punches, you review. You review.
Pretty much the base model still has CarPlay, which is nice. Way better than my 2019 Colorado, power-wise and everything with the turbo. It's, tons of power. A little bit more comfortable than the 19. I still have to have kind of a back support pillow. I don't know what it is about these seats. They're still not that comfortable to me. Maybe the upper trim levels are better. But pretty much my biggest complaint is, for some reason, on the pretty base model, it has 4-wheel drive, but it only has 4-wheel drive auto and 4-wheel drive high. There's no longer an option on the selector for 4-wheel drive low. I bet you it still has it. They just didn't put in a button to save a little bit of money. But it's frustrating, and it makes me a lot more leery when I'm going off-roading for work. Inspecting power lines, I have to be really careful where I'm going because I don't have 4 low to get me out anymore. Definitely makes that aspect makes me miss my 2019 Frontier that I had with my previous company. And then my only other complaint, I agree with you that most of the things have buttons still, which is nice, but the traction control is still buried in the screen. I have to get a couple screens in before I can turn traction control off. And then I missed the headlight style, and the wipers just don't seem like they keep up. At least on this lower trim, I've had the wipers on max in rain up here in NorCal, and I still can not see the road. And I've had to slow down or stop in a couple rainstorms. That was just kind of my thoughts driving this truck the last few months. And the only other thing I had is I just loving the new Armada. I'm really excited after hearing from you and seeing some of the stuff on YouTube. I think it's really cool. If we can ever afford it, it would be an awesome family vehicle. I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you felt about the key shifting buttons. My grandpa has I think it's a 2018 Honda Odyssey with the shift buttons kind of buried in the middle of the center stack, and every time I drive his van, I feel like I have to relearn how to drive. Every time I have to try to park it or shift, I have to look at what I'm doing. And I hate driving his van for that reason. I'm just kind of old school. I like manuals and stuff, but I was just curious how you felt about the buttons on the Armada, because that's really my only thing I can find to complain about that vehicle. It looks awesome in all other aspects. Anyway, love the last couple episodes. Keep it up. Bye.
All right, Justin, appreciate you checking in for the U review there. Kind of unexpected. If you guys want to do U reviews, 657-205-6105. Would love to hear what you think about whatever you're driving, especially if you have something new or some weird configuration or base, or maybe the Hizoot top-of-the-line model. But going back to Justin, it sounds like we're kind of aligned on the Colorado. I didn't know that the base one didn't have low range. I may have to ping one of my GM sources and see if I can dig into that a little bit, because that's kind of interesting. On the Armada, I will tell you the thing that I'm never going to, I don't care who you are. Lincoln's tried it, a bunch of manufacturers. Buttons are not a good way to interact with transmission. I know why they do it, because buttons are easier, take up less space, you get more console room, that's fine. On the Armada, it bugged me when I first saw it. I was like, oh man, this thing is so good. Why did they put push button? But honestly, driving it for a day, it's fine. You get used to it. GM had it on the full-size SUVs. I think they went back, maybe. I don't think they have them anymore, or a change was coming. Long story short, you get used to it. Not my favorite feature, but that vehicle is so good otherwise, it's kind of hard to complain. I mean, I feel really nitpicky going, oh, it has buttons for the transmission. But, it's one of those things. I am going out to Arizona in a few weeks to get some more seat time in it off-road, specifically off-road. So looking forward to that. And I'll report back any other thoughts that I have after spending some more time with it. All right, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that there was a lot of great discussion in the Podshed Insiders. So I figured I'd just throw at you real quick some of the great discussions that happened over the last week or so.
Join the Podshed Insiders, why not? We're having fun with all that's being said, hooting and hollering in the online shed. We're having fun, talking trucks, and other totally rad and random stuff. No matter where you are, hang out in Holman's backyard. Join the Podshed Insiders, why not?
All right, so a little jingle for you guys. I enjoy making those for you, so we'll head over to the Podshed Insiders. That would be our group on Facebook. We crested 300 members this past week, so we've got a lot of great people. I've been reading, well, it's funny because I've been so busy this week that I didn't have a chance to catch up on everything, and there's all sorts of great stuff. Chase Huge started his day off at Waffle House, posted that. Although in the picture he posted, he's got Sirius XM. It would have won me over even more if the Truck Show podcast was on the screen of his Ford while he had the Waffle House in the background. But listen, I get it. We can't win them all. Bergmeister talked about upgrading his 2014 Tundra to a 3/4 ton. Jeffrey Brown posted a funny video tagging me in that. Jason Broom is on a road trip out to California. Nathan Hendrickson posted a way that you could carry 20 feet of rebar without impacting your 6.5-foot bed. There's so much stuff in here. Rafael Gonzalez, he's looking to buy a used truck and was asking you guys for a bunch of advice. Travis Votman found me a F250. Unfortunately, this one has the 5.4, so it's a pass for me. And just on down, somebody posted the just why Taste the Biscuit on YouTube. Somebody found that and revived that. So of course you guys were enjoying yourselves with Taste the Biscuit. Anyway, my point is the Podshed Insiders have become this kind of group unto itself. I thought for sure it would be like, hey, cool, we'll talk about some podcast stuff, which we have, and you guys have been great. But man, the amount of content coming out of that group, like if you're not on it, just go join it. Like the jingle says, why not? It's pretty impressive, the amount of conversation happening in there, and I appreciate all you guys for that. So, all right, well, that'll do it for this episode of the Truck Show podcast, and I just want to thank my buddy David Page from Step and Guard and remind you they're offering a 10% discount using the promotional code. I think it's hashtag Truck Show. We'll have it loaded up on the website this week, so if you want to check that out. Again, I got to thank my Off-Road Village for getting me back on the road and getting me with a fresh unbent axle under the 392. So, of course, Chris at Rock Tech, Mel at Off-Road Evolution and Harley, Mike Rice for finding me the axle, my buddy Adam, his son Max, AV, AMSOIL. AMSOIL has been so great. They sent me lube and they sent me grease so I could get everything greased up and ready for spring. It's awesome. And don't forget to follow us on social. Of course, that's at Truck Show Podcast or at Sean P. Holman or even at ADV Jeep if you want to see Jeep stuff. And don't forget, you can always contact us and send us an email, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show, oh, oh.
And we might read your email on the air. We read most of them, so send them our way. Also, for those of you who have been sending me events, thank you so much. I've got a list of about 80 to 100 that we need to put on the website. I think there's like 7 or 8 of them up now. I will ask you this, though. If you've sent me an event and it's time sensitive, it's something that's happening within the next month, send me another email, let me know, and we'll get that one up right away. I don't have all of the events you've sent me in chronological order, so I want to make sure that we don't miss an opportunity to promote your event. And, of course, we do it for free as just a service to you guys as part of the Truck Show podcast. So, of course, 5-star hotline, 657-205-6105. If you haven't joined the Podshed Insiders on Facebook, go ahead and do that. Send me some Know Your Notes and give us some feedback, either on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. Please give us a 5-star. That really helps us out quite a bit. And it's pretty cool. We've been getting some rankings lately. Apparently, last, can't remember if it was week or month, there's a podcasting outfit called Good Pods that reviews pods and ranks them. And we got like the 7th overall in automotive or something like that. So really great to see the show growing and season 3 still doing really well. Okay, the Truck Show podcast is presented by Nissan. Go get yourself a Nissan vehicle today at nissanusa.com, or at least add me to your test drive list. I think you'll be really impressed with what Nissan has to offer. And if you want the best lubricants for your truck, you want to head over to amsoil.com, where you can pick out synthetics that are customized and tailored for your exact application. Don't forget, they also cover the ATVs and UTVs, small engines, all sorts of stuff. They got you covered. And on the website, of course, you can do the oil change kits, things like that. Anyway, AMSOIL.com. AMSOIL offers the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Kershaw Knives, these guys are awesome. They make really good knives, both the overseas and USA models, different price points, but all of them have the same lifetime warranty, lifetime sharpening. You can replace small parts by ordering them on the website. It's all good. Kershaw Knives. Go to kershaw.kaiusa.com. And lastly, OVR Magazine. As you guys know, I'm one of the owners of that. That's one of my other ventures. Please go there. Like I said, you get complimentary access for a year to the digital library. Check it out, ovrmag.com. Use the promo code @TruckShowPodcast. If you like it, we'll even give you a discount on print. I mean, you just can't beat that these days. It is one of the best print magazines in automotive that's out there. Big, thick paper. It doesn't feel like a throwaway. It's awesome. So appreciate all you guys' support, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time.
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.
Taste the biscuit, taste the goodness of the biscuit. Taste the honey sauce, taste the goodness of the biscuit with the honey sauce. Don't get that honey sauce on me, I don't like the way it tastes with my chicken wings.